Hello everyone and welcome. In this video I'm going to show you how to do a single sample t-test in SPSS. I'm using version 25 here, but these instructions should work for pretty much any version of SPSS that you may be working with. Also in this example I'm doing a single sample t where I'm going to compare my sample mean to 0. Right? So there are other videos where we'll be comparing to different test values, but in this case we'll be comparing it to 0. So I'm using activity 5.1 from our textbook, and in this data file we're looking at whether or not students are overly optimistic about estimates of time requirements to do things. And so what we're looking at is the difference between how long they think it's going to take to do something versus how long it actually takes to do that. And what we have recorded here in the column is their actual, or their estimated minus their actual time. So in this case, if they have a negative difference, that indicates that they underestimated the time it would take to do the task, and a positive score would indicate that they overestimated the time it would to do a task. And so what we want to do is compare the average here to 0. Right? If people are accurate in estimating how much time it takes to do something, we should get differences of 0 there. All right, so to do this analysis, we're going to click on Analyze. And we're going to compare means and do a one sample t-test. Okay. So the variable I'm looking at here is estimated versus actual time. It's the only one in our data file, so I'm moving it over into the test variables box. And I'm leaving my test value at 0 because we're comparing the mean for that variable to 0. Okay. Under options here, there's nothing that you need. We're going to keep the confidence interval at 95%. Okay. So then we click on OK, and it will run a one sample t-test for us. Okay. So for our one sample t-test here, it gives us our t with degrees of freedom of 102. So our t is negative 3.27. The degrees of freedom is 102. Our p-value, when it's two-tailed, is 0.001. The mean difference is negative 4.058, and we have our 95% confidence interval around the mean difference. So we can be 95% sure that the true mean difference in the population is somewhere between negative 6.52 and negative 1.6. So at the top here we have our descriptive statistics with an n of 103. Our mean is negative 4.06. So this is indicating that people are underestimating the time it would take to do the task by 4.06 minutes with a standard deviation of 12.59. Our standard error of the mean is 1.24, which is just the standard deviation divided by the square root of n. Okay. So in this case, we can see that people underestimated how much time it would take to do the task by 4.06 minutes, and our p-value there is 0.001. In this case, we were doing a two-tailed test, and so this p-value is appropriate. If we had been doing a one-tailed test, you would divide that value by 2 to get the p-value. Okay. You'll note here that SPSS does not give effect sizes, D, and in order to get those, you can either do it by hand, which it's not hard with a one sample t, or you can use an online calculator to do that. We'll have a different video showing that here. This will get you through actually running through and doing the t-test. Now you'll notice that SPSS doesn't automatically give you a graph to look at. So in order to get the graph, there are a number of different ways you can do it. I'm going to do it by clicking on Analyze, Descriptive Statistics, and Explore. I'm going to move that variable into the dependent list. And then under Plots, actually, I'm going to ask for a histogram and hit on Continue, and then just say OK. And then it'll show me a histogram of our scores, which is, fairly normally distributed. And it also gives me a box plot. Now with the box plot, remember this middle line is the median, this is the 75th percentile, the top of the box, and the bottom is the 25th percentile. Okay. These 16 and 51 are the numbers of people, or the two people in the data file who have sort of extreme scores. They're pointing that out for us so we can check and make sure there are no errors in the data file. In this case, there are not. That's just the way our data looks here. All right, and I think that is all you need to do this one activity, to do the single sample T. Again, there'll be another video showing you how to do effect sizes if you're using SPSS. Okay. All right, I hope that helps, and good luck.